Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever had a Lippert landing leg fail at the worst possible time, you're not alone. Today, we're in Middleton, Ohio, and our front jack leg decided to throw a fit right when we were unloading the camper. I'll show you exactly what went wrong, how Lippert support handled it, and how I fixed it myself so you can too. So let's get into the gritty details. So we got to camp, unhooked, and we hit auto level just like always, and suddenly the process stopped dead, an out of stroke fault. I tried canceling it, but the system just locked up tighter than a drum. Even the phone app wouldn't let me in. So finally, after a bunch of button mashing and turning on a random light, it cleared. But now the right front jack wouldn't go down the last 3 inches. Manual mode, no dice. At this point, I figured maybe the control board was toast, so I called Lippert. I had to drop the monitor off the wall so I could check the resistance on the plugs on the back side of the screen, but all the resistance looked correct. I pulled apart my basement and I checked the resistance at the control board, nothing. The first tech I talked to said because it was Sunday night, I'd have to call back in the morning and talk to the one control department, which I did, but they wanted me to buy a $650 screen. Not interested. I wanted a real diagnosis, not just throwing parts at it. I ran through all the procedures the first guy wanted me to do, but I could tell he really wasn't listening to me, and all he wanted to do was chalk it up to a bad screen. So we ran more tests, but still the system thought the leg was out of stroke. And so I hung up with him, and later on I called back and I got another tech. I finally got a tech that would listen. We ran more tests and we tried to rehome the system again, but still the system thought the leg was out of stroke and wouldn't let me reset. So here was the trick. I asked Jacob, what if I swapped the right plug and the left plug together over to opposite sides? So the left was plugged into the right and the right was plugged into the left. And then we tried to rehome again. And if it threw a fault on the left side rather than the right leg, we knew that something was going on with that leg. So that's exactly what we did. And bingo, the left jack faulted when we tried to rehome. So that told me that actually the right front jack leg and not the board was the problem. Now, the motor does have a Hall sensor in it, so it could still be in the electronics of the motor. But because I had this happen last year, I suspected the nut plate on the inside of this jack leg might be stripped out. This happened to us last year, but with a completely different set of symptoms. So isolating it to the mechanical portion of the leg, it wasn't quite as stressful as last year. I understood what it was going to take to replace it. So I started getting ready to take this leg out. First thing I did was I cleared out the front compartment. Then I jacked up the camper and I braced it with a jack and a jack stand so nothing could go sideways. But to do that, I had to remove the front stabilizer bar. Hey, here's an insider tip for you. You ever had a nut that got caught in your socket and you couldn't get it out of the socket? No problem. Just take the socket and hand start the nut back onto one of the bolts, and then you can take the socket right off, take the nut off. Now look at this. This bottom bolt is actually inserted in the wrong direction. It's captured. It won't come out of the bracket with the front panel on. Now I need to go ahead and unplug the motor and get it ready to take off the leg assembly. Next, I'll go ahead and remove the base plate to get the leg ready to feed through the hole. It's just held on with a removable pin. With the plate unpinned, it'll lift the lower leg up and I can get it off. Alright, so now I'm back in the front compartment, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and position the leg so I can remove the motor. While I'm in here, I'll go ahead and remove some of this expandable foam insulation to increase the size of the hole so I can pull the leg out easier. Then I took the motor off the top of the jack leg. There's two 13mm bolts holding it on. With the leg out, let's go ahead and give this thing a little extra support with a jack stand. Alright, let's see if we can dissect this thing, and I'll show you what I suspect is wrong with it. To start with, I'm going to remove this top socket. To do this, we're going to need to remove the cotter pin so we can remove the pin that's holding it on. With the cotter pin out, I'm just going to position the socket so that the pin is lined up with this access hole in the side of the top cup here. With the line, I'm just going to use something to push the pin out. In this case, I'm going to use the old cotter pin. Now, I'm just going to grab the socket and pull it off the end of this threaded rod. With the socket removed, now I'm just going to use like a flathead screwdriver or something, and I'll persuade the bushing to come off. Alright, now I can release the inside leg from the outside leg. I just need to screw the rod through this threaded plate and remove it. It's got reverse thread, so let's see if we have any damage in there. As I suspect we will see. Here's another quick trick. With the rod removed, I'm going to lay it on the leg itself, and I'm going to kind of roll it back and forth just to check and see if the leg looks like it's bent. At first glance, it looks like it's pretty straight, the best I can tell anyway. So with that possibility eliminated, let's look a little bit deeper. Let's check out the threaded nut plate. And just as I initially suspected, I can see the damage. The nut plate is stripped out. Again, this happened to us last year as well. That's a thread that's come out of it. That's the problem with it. There's some more. Look at this one. I don't know if we can see it. What threads just peel out of here. That's it. Is that? It's a problem with these electric jacks. They don't harden this piece of metal. This is the second one that's done this. Can you see this in here, guys? Let's see if I can pull one of these threads out for you. Look at this. These are the threads coming out right here. These are all the threads that were left in there that just come out. Well, as aggravating as it is, all there is left to do to it is to go ahead and put this thing back together. So basically, I'll just reverse the process and install the new parts. When you go to look for one of these legs, a lot of people are going to tell you that you have to buy the complete assembly, motor and all. That's not true. Someone will tell you that it's only about, well, $40 difference to get the leg and the motor. That's not true either. So here's the part number from eTrailer, and you can see that it starts with LCI. That means it's a Lippert component, and it was a bit cheaper and more readily available from eTrailer. So make sure you copy that number down or bookmark this video, because in my experience, if you haven't had to change that leg yet, you will. It's just a matter of time. Here I'm using a small framing square to transfer the mounting points from the old leg to the new one, so I know where to line it when I'm reinstalling it. So now all that's left is to just reverse the process of how it came out. Slide it in, bolt it down, repin the base plate, reconnect the motor and seal it up. Rehome your leveling system afterwards and you're back in business. To rehome your leveling system, you want to hit retract all on your jacks. It needs to go all the way down in the front. Once all the jacks have been retracted completely, you hit the auto level button and let it do its thing. If this has happened to you, please drop your story in the comments and let's get Lippert's attention and maybe push for a better fix. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-world RV repairs and honest advice from the road. And if you want to see more crazy stuff that happens living full-time on a fifth wheel, stick around. Safe travels, everyone, and we'll see you next week.